Hello and welcome back to Wolf Owl. Daphne here. I want to start this video off with a huge shout out and thank you to my daughter Chantel Spencer. If it had not been for her, this channel would probably still be in the creation. Um, I created a logo, I drew it out, and she refined it into something so beautiful. And she was able to help me get this channel created in a day's time. Otherwise, you might not be seeing this stuff for like another month or so because I am not quite as tech savvy as she is. But I think that's just going to be another one of the things that I'm going to be learning along the journey in this new chapter of my life. So this second video is actually a presentation that I shared with my Emmaus family. Many of you saw that, and many of the Emmaus family has not. So this will be for not only the rest of the Emmaus family, but my other friends and family. This was a fourth day talk given about growing and living by faith in our fourth days. Let me first offer you the definition of faith as I found it in the Oxford Dictionary online. It states that faith is the complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Now let me take you to Hebrews chapter 11. Bear with me. No, don't bear with me. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to encourage you to read chapter 11 of Hebrews. It is specifically about faith and those who lived with faith. Now, faith to me can be compared to the mortar laid between bricks, which adheres one brick to another or one stone to another. I know that Christ is our firm foundation, the cornerstone, as we are told in Ephesians 2, verses 20 through 22, Psalms 118, and Isaiah chapter 17, verse 10, and many other verses throughout the Bible. Our faith is that mortar which holds us tight to our Savior. Without faith, we wobble, we roll around going wherever the next distraction leads us as we struggle to take control of whatever the situation may be. And in this day and age, it usually leads to things that would roll us further from our God. Just as a stone without mortar holding it in place will easily be dislodged and roll away, usually to the lowest point when gravity is considered. I'm going to climb out on a limb here and venture to say, surely I am not the only one who has ever had the thoughts I'm about to share with you. I have reflected on the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt and would previously often wonder how they had so little faith with every new challenge that came upon them after the great and mighty works God performed just to bring them out of Egypt. Excuse me. And there were many because he was purposely showing them that they could trust in him and what he said. I was so arrogant, often thinking to myself, I would have been more trusting and had more faith than those people if I'd physically seen such miracles, such as all the Israelites' firstborn male children being spared, while all the Egyptians' firstborn male children were killed. Or how about better yet, watching the Red Sea part, allowing the Israelites to cross, but crashing back down upon the Egyptians, laying them all to waste. Those were huge miracles, seen by all, and yet they continually lost faith as the next distracting challenge came upon them. How could they not trust their God to carry them through after the great wonders he showed them? Let's go back to that word faith. I found an interesting article written March of 2021 by a Dr. Alice M. McKenzie titled, Faith is a Verb, Not a Noun. This is just a piece of that article. In the Gospel of John, belief is not intellectual assent, but wholehearted trust, entrusting our lives and futures to God. Faith in the Gospel of John is a verb, not a noun. In contrast to the synoptics and Paul, John's Gospel never uses the noun faith or belief, but only the verb to believe, to trust. Believing is an action that one does, not an object or thing one possesses. Thus, the translation believing is better than having faith. Since believing involves relationship, an even better translation would be trusting or entrusting oneself to God. So, just as riding, verb, a bicycle, or driving, verb, a car, we must intentionally incorporate active faith in our lives. Did we just hop on that bicycle as a child and take off down the road with zero falls, mishaps, or guidance? Did we just climb in a car and take off with no one to guide us or teach us? No, most of us did not. Let me repeat that. We must intentionally incorporate active faith in our lives. Here's where I admit my humanity and what I feel to be the slow growth in my life of faith. See, I was trained in multiple ways, as so many other people have been and still are, in this world to be nothing but self reliant rather than having faith in God. The beginning was growing up in a dysfunctional family where I learned to analyze everything I did and what I needed to do to be proactive to avoid punishment out of fear because punishment was usually abuse. Those abuses included being locked in a basement and being told the boogeyman would come to get me if I were to move, being choked out because I was not picking up sticks fast enough, being pulled out of bed as a child by my hair if I was rolling around in bed too much at night. The list goes on. But please do not think less of my parents or people in my life that have done things to me because I am sharing horrible details with you. They did not have a relationship with our Father God and did not know true love. They are forgiven. Those things are what has helped me to grow into the person I am today and to realize my need for my Father. CPS was called multiple times, but I was always reminded that eventually I would be returned home and there would be consequences to pay upon my return. I had no one to rely on. Yes, I prayed to God, but could He? Did He stop those hands from hurting me? No. I learned to try to be perfect in everything I did to try to avoid punishments. I learned to be self reliant. The other great influencing factor for my slow growth was school, society. I was a very astute student. We are taught we can be anything, and we are constantly encouraged to plan for our future, decide what we want to do with our lives before we truly understand so many things about life. They train us to constantly think about and focus on how much money you want to make, what kind of home you desire to live in, everything about the future, rather than living in the present, relying on God. Success in our society is defined by what you do and what you have. So I became what the world taught me to be. And I was proud of it. A very independent young woman trying to be successful without God. Excuse me. I invited God back into my life at the age of 28 after giving birth to my daughter. You may be asking, what inspired you at that time to invite God back into your life? Well, I received a letter from my OBGYN approximately 6 weeks after giving birth to my daughter by way of a C-section. They were requesting I call them. I called and was given the news that they had discovered precancerous cells during my follow-up examination. I recall that day, that conversation. And my ensuing conversation with God in my car later that day, while often glancing at my precious baby girl in the back seat through the rearview mirror, I cried. I begged and I pleaded with God to please let this not be so. I begged to be allowed to raise this beautiful child he blessed me with, and I never went back for further testing. Fast forward 4 years, I had an infection and thus went to a doctor and was given a pap smear, which came back clear of anything resembling cancer. Answered prayers. One might think that would be the deciding factor that would encourage me to grow in my faith. I admit I did start reading my Bible more often, but still allowed myself to be carried away on the waves of distraction this world constantly throws at us. I was not wholeheartedly nurturing my relationship with God. I'm 55 years old now, and sadly, it has taken me most of my life to truly grow in my faith and truly trust God with my life. Only after doing just about everything the wrong way, not putting my God first, not running to Him at the first sign of trouble or confusion, and not truly seeking His guidance in every aspect of my life, have I come to understand living in true faith. I had left God, but God has never left me. Growing in my faith in God has taken much reflection. I have found it so much easier to grow in my faith when I reflect on my life and purposely look for God's divine intervention in my life. And let me tell you, God has been busy in my life, even when I wasn't paying attention. Let me share with you just a few major miracles and wonders our God has blessed me with thus far in my life. As a young child in an abusive home, God blessed me many times with a recurring dream, in which I found myself miraculously flying through the air with what I believe were angels above all the chaos of those hurting me. Those dreams brought me so much peace as I rested after fighting sickening anxiety every single day, going home from school, hoping I had done everything I was supposed to and that I had done it correctly. God blessed me with the courage and strength to move out of that environment just before my senior year in high school and work 2 part-time jobs while I finished school. God saved me from myself as I fell deeper into the pit during my first divorce when I became a borderline alcoholic as I was fighting PTSD from my childhood in the form of nightmares. Nightmares that depicted my parents turning into demons who were trying to kill me. I just told you of the beautiful miracle of healing after giving birth to my daughter. I watched God change plans for a day to my dismay, only to find later that He was protecting my daughter from a rock that was thrown by a mower through her bedroom window, right where she normally sat and played. I have seen jobs appear unexpectedly when I needed them the most, after spending the night worrying about finances. God graciously kept us safe as a tornado ripped through our little town in 2013. And the damage was actually a blessing in disguise, as our home needed help on the outside, of which we received by way of our insurance claim. Just over a year ago, I filed for my second divorce, which was by far the worst mentally anguishing thing I have faced in this life so far. I did not turn to alcohol as I did during my first divorce. I did not turn to counseling. I turned to God. I turned to God alone, and the peace and strength He gave me day to day was beyond my comprehension. And that is why I know it only came from God. God changed the plans I had made for myself immediately following my divorce when I purchased what I thought to be was a decent truck, with which I was going to pull a camper with and travel from place to place, beginning a new adventure of work camping. Turned out that truck had internal engine issues, which were very difficult to identify for specific reasons, and had symptoms I had never seen before. So it's not like I didn't know what I was doing when I checked the truck out, but things are different now that Vehicles are different with technology nowadays. Yet in that disappointment, God saved me yet again, as my plans were to head south right away. Those plans would have put me unknowingly right in the path of the hurricanes that took lives and destroyed the lives of so many others in 2024 in our southern states. Just last year, 2025, I was called to serve on the Emmaus team that had already been full. God brought more women to the walk, creating the need for more team members. And I was blessed and strengthened beyond measure in my service on the team. These are just a few of the great things God has done in my life. The list goes on. After all that reflection, I had to ask myself, where is your faith, Daphne? Where is it? To grow in faith, we must, one, wholeheartedly and prayerfully seek and nurture our relationship with God. Secondly, excuse me, we need to reflect on all the good and faithful things God has already done in our lives. Third, we need to let go of the illusion of complete control and independence and let God guide and provide for us with the understanding that God's plans for our lives may not align with our plans, because as our loving Father, His plans and ways are better, even when we may not see or understand the reasons why. Let me repeat that. To grow our faith, we must wholeheartedly and prayerfully seek and nurture our relationship with God. Secondly, we need to reflect on all the good things God has already done in our lives. Third, we need to let go of the illusion of complete control and independence and let God guide and provide for us with understanding that God's plans may not align with ours, because as our loving Father, His plans and ways are better, even when we may not see or understand the reasons why. That is the choice I have made, thus the creation of this channel. And that choice has led me to the preparation and beginning of this chapter, a life lived through faith in my Father, my Creator, my God. And it has begun with the creation of Wolfowl. I created Wolfowl February of 2025. I look forward to what God has planned for me. I thank you for joining me. May you be blessed and be a blessing.